So there Monday Sales CRM is hands down the best CRM I've ever used. Since using Monday Sales CRM,
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. We'll be getting started shortly. Just give me a few minutes to log on via Zoom. if you're just logging on, I want to thank you and welcome. We'll wait 2 more minutes to give a few more people a chance to log in. We'll get started at 12. Thank you all for joining. All right, thank you all for joining today. We have a great training for you all with one of our core leaders, Ms. Jackie Curry. And today she's going to be discussing the buyer's advantage, how to create a winning buyer packet for your future clients. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Jackie. Let me know if there's anything you need me to help you with. You do have sharing capabilities, and you have the floor, ma'am.
Well, thank you. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone on the Zoom today. How many of you enjoyed going on vacation right before we got to go on the Zoom today? Because those flyers was beautiful. Nobody enjoyed the vacation but myself? Yes. Thanks, Shay, for taking me on vacation. All righty.
My pleasure.
All righty. So I'm going to all the slides I've made first today. So before I start my presentation, I'm going to introduce myself again. Of course, I'm a part of the leadership with Brooks and Davis. I'm on the 5-star team, and I also have my own team called the J team. Most of my trainings, I'm telling you now, if you have a mentor or you rely on your broker, you can go to them for further questions or further instructions. But I like to be detailed when I'm teaching my Zoom trainings for my team. So if I go a little bit into detail, I want to apologize to that up front, but I also like to make real estate fun, and I like to make learning fun. So with that being said, I'm going to start. We're going to have questions and answers on the end. Also, I'm going to share with you some pamphlets. If you would like copies of those on the end, just let Shay or myself know. All righty. Let me start my slideshow. And y'all, my computer has a mind of its own, so I apologize in advance. Come on. There you go. Okay. I'll put it down here. Okay, so let's get started here. Put it up there for now. Okay, so let's make learning about real estate fun. How many of you think she's cute? You can raise your hand, you can talk.
She's striking.
She's very striking. How many of you think
She's
those yellow
unique.
snakes are kind of cute?
She cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so while all of you are learning real estate, I want you to keep that face in mind because I want you to be that serious when you're learning real estate, okay?
Mm.
All righty. My computer don't want to work today, y'all. Seriously. All right, so let's go into our introduction. Buyers and seller agents have similar goals to get their clients the best deal and to close the home sale, but their responsibility through the process are very different. When it comes to selling your house, it may seem like there's a lot of professionals involved. Each side of the transaction, for example, both the buyer and the seller, we have representation at every stage, and it could be difficult to keep the parties who they work for straight. So there are two professional functions at are very important to distinguish are the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. So today we're going to discuss the buyer's agent because 9 times out of 10, when you first get into real estate, we're going to get that buying deal first versus listing. I see someone has a, I don't know why this thing's going so slow today. Okay, so the most difference between the buyers and the seller's agents is that they represent opposite interests. The buyer's agent is responsible for making sure the buyer gets the best deal possible, and the seller's agent does the same for the seller. Sometimes the seller agent, also known as the listing agent, can also represent the buyer, but this is rare and illegal in some states. So what is this called? And I want you guys to know this is not just me talking, because I'm going to get to ask you questions throughout the process. So what is it called in the state of Texas when a brokers represent both sides?
Intermediary.
Very good. Was that Miss Jamisha Smith?
Of course.
All righty then. Well, at least you're learning. So intermediary, broker who negotiates a real estate transaction between two parties has obtained written consent from the parties to represent both the buyer and the seller. So real estate transactions, who do they belong to?
The broker.
The broker.
Was that Mr. Sims?
Yep.
All
Of
real estate
course.
transactions belongs to the broker. They do not belong to you. So let's learn how to set yourself apart from any other real estate professional. So I have a buyer's guide that I created some time ago. I have 4 different templates, and I want to share with you my buyer's guide that I share to all of my approved buyers once they come to me. I should already have these open because my computer's like, I need coffee. Okay, so here's a buying home guide, step-by-step roadmap, including vocabulary and the complete process for closing and buying on a home. So the first thing you need to let your clients know is that it's all about them. It's not about us, it's about them. And we need to make this a very enlightening experience for them. Purchasing a home is a huge process for most individuals. So I made my guide around satisfying our buyers in this, their needs, their dreams, their concerns, their questions. This whole guide is about if I was buying a home, what would my concerns be? What would some of my questions be? So I took the time to critique this, and it's almost 18 pages long, but it satisfied every section of a buyer's guide for when they have or getting approved to buy a home. So the focus is on your complete satisfaction. In fact, I work to get the job done so well, you will want to tell your friends and associates about me. Maybe that's why more than 50% of my business come from repeat customers and referrals. So when you are making your buyer's guide about you being a professional, start with something as simple as this. Again, like I said, I have 4 templates that I can share with you that keeps your clients coming back looking for you. So good service speaks for itself. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to earn your referrals too. That is my opening statement to all of the buyers that come to me, and they send their friends, their families, etc. repeatedly. So I'm not going to go into detail by detail, but I just want to show you what it is. This is the most profitable page of them all. We also use this page when we do home buyer seminars. It gives 11 easy steps to what the approved buyers can expect when they are buying a home. Okay, somebody's phone. That's okay. So then the last and final step of that process is 12. Welcome home. You get to welcome all of your new buyers to their new home. These are the different things to get them ready to buy. And when I give them this and they go to a lender, or if they already went to a lender, they all come back and tell me and thank me for giving them this document, because they had time to get all of this stuff ready to take to a lender to get them verified. Where the buyers find the home, that's where you and I come in at. We have different ways that we're going to talk about in a minute, how we do that. We prepare them to buy. We talk to them how to talk to the mortgage brokers, etc. on the market, how to make a good offer. But I just want to show you all of this before we go to the slides again. And again, if you want a copy of a buyer's guide to make it your own, I have 4 different templates. You can put into the chat that you want a copy, and or you can just let Shay or myself know. So with that being said, let's go right here. Instead of sorting this slide again, where were we? So after you've done all of that, now you're on your pre-home search. What I want you to do, and we're going to talk in details about each and every one of these, because as realtors, I know that we can get very busy sometimes. What I do when I teach my realtors, when you're in school, they use this term, time is of the essence, a lot, but they're talking about contracts and the dates on contracts. I also tell my agents time is of the essence for them as well. Returning phone calls, returning emails, etc. Because you can lose a client or you can lose a good buyer just because it took you 48 hours to return their call. So they feel like, well, you wasn't interested, so they went ahead and went with another realtor. We get a lot of that in our business. So again, being very prompt to when a buyer reach out to you is the key to your success in your business. So what we're going to do is we're going to schedule the time to meet with the buyer. Okay. We're going to prepare the buyer's guide and presentation based around what that buyer's needs are. Every buyer needs may be a little bit different, but the ultimate goal is to purchase a home. So meet buyers and discuss their goals. This is the most important. I want you guys to tell me, why did I say that?
You don't
So
want to do
they,
a blank search and waste your or the client's time, so you know what you're working with.
Okay, David.
she pretty much took what I was gonna say.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, it's very important to meet the clients and discuss what their goals are, because if a client comes to you and say, I want to buy a home, and they don't give you any specifics, you can start looking anywhere. You can start sending them anything without knowing whether or not they are approved for that dollar amount, whether they want 2 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, whether they need 2 bedrooms or 3 baths. That's why it's very important to sit down and get the details from your client. The more you get in tune and get into the energy with your client, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the most satisfied client you ever had, which is going to turn that to a 12 out of 10. Okay. Explain what you do as a realtor when representing a buyer. Don't just say I'm a realtor. Tell them why you are the realtor of their choice. Go into details about you as being a realtor that sets you apart from any other realtor. The new thing that I need for you guys to prepare for is that buyer's representation agreement, which we're going to do that in another training to go into details how you fill that out. But while you're going over that buyer's representations, ring your own bell. Now's the perfect opportunity for you to ring your bell and tell that buyer why they should use you versus Margaret or Aspen or Jamisha. We're all in the same line of business, okay? So also on your pre-home search, I want you to be able to discuss earnest money deposits with your client. So everybody on this line has had the same training. What percentage is for earnest money?
Typically, were you asking what's the average percent for earnest money?
Typically, what's the percentage for earnest money? Yes, ma'am.
1%.
1% typically, okay? Are there any deviations from that? And I'm gonna call on Miss Margaret.
Oh,
Margaret, are you there? Okay. Yes, there can be a deviation from earnest money. When in doubt, look at the MLS, because I call the MLS our Bible. It will give you, if you have a great listing agent, they will list in there differences of what they client want. I even recently went into a contract where the seller was wanting 2% down for earnest money because he said that that would alleviate all the people that wasn't serious enough about buying his home. And then the other part of the earnest money deviation could be if you have a VA buyer, they could discuss the earnest money, they could put down $1, but they still need to know or let the seller know that they're really serious about buying their property. So we're going to discuss earnest money here in a little bit, or the defining it, but it lets you know that. The other thing is the option fee. Where would you guys get the option fees from? Jamisha.
so it's
Miss
typically
Jackie, can you ask that question again?
Which question, babe? By option fees?
No, yes, ma'am.
Where would you normally get an option fee amount from if you're looking on the MLS for a home? And I just gave you the answer, really.
I don't know.
The seller.
Okay, that's
MLS?
okay.
Did you
That's
say
okay, Jamisha. You and I just did this lately. Where was that dollar amount listed for that option fee?
in the MLS under the
In
attachment.
the MLS. Some of them will say 7 days, $50 a day. Some will say 10 days, $25 a day. If they don't specify, they typically do 150 to 250. Depends on the value of the home, which we're gonna do a training on that as well too. From asking guys. Okay, so right here, earnest money, a deposit made to the seller that represents a buyer's good faith to purchase such as the acquisition of a home. That's just defining what earnest money is for those who don't know. Option fee, money paid by a buyer to a seller for the option to terminate a real estate contract if need be. I call this insurance. I'm sorry, was there a question on the line? Okay, so with those two things, and I moved it really fast, who are these monies paid to? Who are the option fee and the earnest money paid to?
title
The
company?
seller.
The seller.
Okay, Aspen, would you say, babe?
I didn't say anything yet. I was
Title
gonna,
company.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yep.
I hear an answer, but I can't see who that was. I'm sorry.
It was me, Margaret.
That's
Title
Oh,
Margaret.
very good, Margaret. Those two things are paid to the title company. The title company will disperse the option fee to the seller, and they will keep the earnest money on file. However, both of them are credited to your buyer at the closing table. That is correct. So what the other thing we do is we send homes within the buyer's criteria. That will set you apart from any other realtor. Believe it or not, we still meet a lot of clients that go, I fired my last realtor because she just wouldn't listen to me. She knows that I was approved for 250 and I told her I wanted a 3-bedroom, but she kept sending me stuff in the 400s and 3 bedrooms I mean, you have to really listen to what your clients' wants are. We're gonna all have a lot of needs, but in this case, it's what they want for their home, okay? Schedule homes of their choosing, not yours. Not yours. Now, let's talk about the drip. Some realtors on this line believe in putting their clients on a drip. I personally don't. Here's the reason why I don't. because if I put my clients on a drip, they're going to send everything within that zip code, everything within that bedroom size. Whereas me, I like to personally open up every MLS and read what my clients would like based on the criteria that they told me. And that right there, I think will set you apart as any other realtor. And right now that is open on this table for discussion with the most advanced realtors. So Morgan, go ahead. I know you're gonna go there. Do you use the drip campaign at all?
I don't use drip campaigns.
Oh, very good.
I don't.
And again, the reason why I don't do that is to offer more personalized choosing of a home for my client. And as long as you have that type of mentality, guess what? You just set yourself apart as a real estate professional from any other real estate professional. So let's talk about this home search. I want you to schedule and organize all showings. And with that being said, there's different ways that you can schedule. All of them will be through the MLS. Some of them will say showtime. Some of them will say showing smart. Some of them will say open door. And then there's a couple more out there. You need to be versed enough to know how to go on the MLS to schedule that showing for your client. And you need to know which app to go to in order to schedule that home. And again, if you're working with a mentor and or a broker, and if you have any questions, then let them know that you're stuck in that area so that they can teach it to you. Because again, that MLS is the realtor's Bible, and it's going to get you everywhere you need to go and tell you everything you need to know about a home. The listing agents don't like to be called so much, especially if they put it all in the MLS for you to read. So reading is very important. Again, we're going to gather the showing instructions for each listing. We're going to send the showing schedule to the buyers. So once let's say I have a client that want to see 4 houses, I know how to go on Google and map those houses out so that we won't be going in one big circle or around. So I put the addresses in there. I let Google map it out. And then I know which home to go to first, how far the next one is. And I put those homes in order and I text them to my client and say, we're going to go here first with this appointment time. Here's second with that appointment time, et cetera, et cetera. It makes you look organized and it keeps your clients organized as well. And believe it or not, they really like that. They don't want to feel
Miss
like they
Jackie?
flying around like a chicken. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You said that was Google Maps? That'll
I
do it
do
for
use
you?
Google Maps and I will
Okay.
teach you and show you how to, I do multiple listings at one time, multiple showings.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. A realtor's duty while showing, make some mental notes for yourself, such as, does this home need major repairs, roofing, windows? Don't talk about it out loud, but just make the notes to yourself. Gather the buyer feedback after each showing and update buyers when new homes meet their criteria come on the market. This is where I actually was talking about the drip campaign, but I talked about it earlier. So with you making notes, mental notes on these houses or whatever, or me, I keep a pad. I know what houses I go to. I make little notes by those houses because it's going to become very important when my client go, remember that house last week that we saw? You as a professional realtor need to be able to recall that home, and you need to be able to tell them what it was that, or whatever questions they're asking you, because they're relying on you as a professional to help them through this home buying process. So I know that I may talk really fast or I go fast, or are there any questions right now before we go on? No? Okay.
Wait, Ms.
Let's
Jackie,
finish.
before you continue, can you send your copy of the buyer's packet to the Brooks and Davis email, please?
I will. And
Thank
I have some more other stuff that I'm going to introduce in case they want, then I send them all in a packet.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
So this is a big one right here. Guide buyers through their emotional journey. So why are we as professional realtors guiding the buyers through the journey?
Because we the professional and we should be able to, how can I put it? Like they may think one thing, which is not correct in the buying process. So we just got to steer them the right way so they not get off track.
Okay, I'll accept that. Anybody else?
We have to guide them through the transaction, because if we don't, then it's a good chance that the deal will, not, you won't get to the table, you won't get to the closing table.
It will bust. Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna pick on Jamisha, not only because I think she's cute, but because she's going through this now. The key word I put on here is emotional journey. Y'all, our buyers are a mess when they are buying their first home. They're scared. They have people in their ear trying to tell them, are you sure you making this? You want to do this? It's a big purchase. It's a lasting purchase. It's one of the largest purchases that most of them will make in their life. And they're very emotional. So for us as professionals, it's very important that we don't get on their emotional level, but we need to guide them through their emotional journey in order to get to the closing table. And so that's why I say I'm using Jamisha as an example, because I know her client done went through 4 or 5 different emotions but they still landed on purchasing this home. But as realtors, it really pulled out every training she had to get them past the inspection point to order the appraisal. So any other feedback on that piece? All right. So listen and learn while providing feedback after each housing transaction, whether it be a showing, going over available properties, et cetera, et cetera. It's very important that you get feedback as an agent after the showings. For example, if they say, well, you know what, I don't like this neighborhood, then it lets you know, don't schedule any more showings in that neighborhood. If they say they don't like the neighborhood, find out what they don't like about it, and maybe request another neighborhood or get an idea what other neighborhoods they would like to look in. But I'm telling you, as a professional, it's very important to keep your eyes open, your ears open, everything when it comes to the transaction of your buyer. Do your research. Offer information about the home or area before you ask, such as how many floors it has, how old is the roof, plumbing, what type, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you are the best real estate profession, before you even send that house to that client, look and see if it's a seller's disclosure. If it is, read over that seller's disclosure so that you will know everything there is to know about that home. So if I call you and say, ooh, Aspen, I really like this house. What else can you tell me about it before we schedule? Aspen should be able to just say, let me pull it up for you and go over some things where it was built here. It has this many square footage. It's going to be the basic things until you get there to see that house. But most of your clients don't know how to read the MLS the way you do. They're going to still ask you, well, how many bedrooms does it have? What year was it built in? And yes, you can be a smart, adequate realtor and say, go read it for yourself. But you can also be a more informed realtor by just telling them the things that they're asking you. It gives you a better rapport with your client. Okay, so keep records of all the showings. You never know, again, when a buyer may ask you about a home from last week. What was the square footage? How many floors it had? You need to be able to say which house. If they say 1338 Humble Road, you need to go back to your notes and be able to answer all those questions. Okay. Update listing agents with buyer feedback. Don't be scared. You're a real estate professional. If a client tell you, this house smell like cat, okay, put it in a nice email to the listing agent. Sorry, my client declined on this home, stated it smelled like cat. I mean, be as honest as you can without being too tacky, but listing agents really, really want to hear from buyer agents. They want that feedback, because if they don't have that good feedback, they can't sell that house. And they won't be able to tell their sellers what people think are wrong with the house. So feedback is very important. A lot of people think it's negative, but it can be a positive thing. So what Miss Jackie do, speaking of CAT, is I use the acronyms P. And I said that as a joke, but I'm serious. My acronyms are provide, explain, educate, and discuss. All four of these details are different for every house when it comes to my client. And I'm going to give you an example of that. P for provide. I should be expected to tell them what the utility costs for that home. Every time you Google a home and you look down to the bottom left, it gives you the estimated costs for that home for a year. Update the housing market data. Provide information on any update price drops or increases. I provide the sales contract when the buyers are ready to proceed with that home. Anybody have any questions about my P acronyms that I use? Each one of them are different based on what my client's needs are. But I typed this up just to give you an example. Explain. I explain the inspections in detail. I explain the property appraisal process. I explain the home warranty options. Educate. Let's go to educate. I educate my client on buyer's offers. I educate buyers showing activity weeklies, and I educate the buyer on the sales contract option. There are a lot of options on the sales contract. As real estate professionals, everything is negotiable in real estate. I need for you guys to keep that forefront in your mind. Everything's negotiable, from the price to the down, but everything's negotiable. Keep that in mind. So discuss. I discuss with my client when there's multiple offer situations. I discuss what transferable warranties mean. I discuss the property inclusion and exclusions. I discuss the need for lead-based disclosures. So with lead-based disclosures being said, what year is associated with lead-based disclosures for your client?
1978.
That was Shay, y'all. She overspoke all of the professional real estate agents on this phone. Loan objection deadlines and comps with buyers to determine value. Those are all the things you need to be able as professional real estate agents to discuss with your clients. Again, if you don't feel comfortable discussing with them, get with your mentor, get with your broker. But the clients now are expecting this and more when you come to them as a professional wanting to represent them in a transaction. Any questions? So let's talk about the post contract. So once the contract is executed, you as the buyer's agent need to send it to the lender. So I want to talk a little bit more about execution for a minute, because this week I've had my share of contracts that's not executed. As professionals, if you are the last real estate agent to touch that document, you are responsible for executing it. It is a section right at the bottom that says executed by, and it says the broker put this date in there. Well, you are representing the broker on this transaction. You need to execute that transaction. If the transaction is not executed, you're not in a contract. It's just that simple. The next thing, as a real estate professional, you are to coordinate the earnest money drop off. Where, again, is the earnest money dropped off at? Once you tell your client where to go, where is it dropped off at?
Title company.
Okay, and where do you get that information from? If the buyer is not choosing the title company, where do they get that information from?
Listing agent.
Listing agent. And even when you're typing up your offer for that section, if it's not on the MLS already, you need to be reaching out to the listing agent to get their preferred title company for that particular home. Okay, so we're back to this seller's disclosure again. Preferably, you want to have this form before. However, it's not mandatory. Once the contract is executed, per the number of days you put on the contract for delivery, which I normally would put 7, you need to have conversations with the seller agent around obtaining a copy of the disclosure for your buyers. I have seen a lot of agents tell the buyers, oh, there's no seller's agent, so let's move to there's no seller's disclosure, so I don't know anything about this home. Let's just move to the next home. That's not the correct way to do that either. If your client really wants that home, go ahead and put an offer on that home. then put in on your contract the number of days you're going to give the seller to provide you with the seller's disclosure. And then move forward from there. But it's not a negative thing to where your client could not buy that house because it does not have a seller's disclosure. So the next thing in line is the clock is ticking. Now it's your option period. So you really want to jump on obtaining an inspection on the home being purchased. However, it is your client's choice, but strongly recommend they obtain an inspection, even if it's on new builds. Okay. Again, let's talk about this inspection on a home, because that seems to be the next big thing when your client is buying a home. Do we know what an inspection is for? And everybody unmute and let's talk about it. What's an inspection for?
The
To make
major
sure
system,
everything is working right in the house, nothing needs to be fixed. Not being sold in lemon, basically.
Okay, next person.
the major systems, making sure the major systems of the home is in working order.
We're talking plumbing, electrical, foundation, roofing, and it's one more. What's the other one? No, it's 5 points. All right, anybody else? Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to the next thing. You, as a real estate professional, should be able to read an inspection report. If you're working with a mentor, get with your mentor. If not, get with your broker. We've had numerous of inspectors come out and show us how to read their inspections reports. And most of the time, danger items or items that needs to be addressed will usually be in red. But again, if you don't know how to read an inspection report, get with your mentor or get with your broker, or if all push to come to shove and you think it's a really big item, reach out to the inspector. Because the inspector, believe it or not, was hired by your buyer to discuss things that the home for which they are purchasing. Okay. So next, negotiations. This is a big one right here, because most new real estate agents don't realize the power that they have for negotiating. When they say everything is negotiable in real estate, you as that agent, you get to negotiate the offers, you get to negotiate the inspections, you get to negotiate the appraisals, you get to negotiate all of that for your client. One professional to another, seller's agent versus buying agent, okay? Again, the price to offer on the home. Who determines this, you or your client?
Client.
The client.
Okay, David, what was your answer, David?
Oh, I was gonna say the client.
Okay, somebody else said something else. It is your client's choice how much they offer on a home. Your job is to guide them, to offer your opinion, to show them values of the home, etc., which we're going to talk about in a second. But it's your client's choice. You don't ever want a client to come back and say, you told me to bid $300,000 for that. Now the home is only worth $250,000. Now they're asking me to pay the $50,000 difference. Okay, it happens. It really does. So again, as real estate professionals, please keep in mind that you can run a CMA, you can give your opinion all day long, but it's your client's choice the amount of money they want to offer on that home. Realtors' recommendation or suggestions, let's have the facts and the research to back up both. We want to negotiate any inspection request, and we want to negotiate any unsatisfactory appraisals. Again, do your research before you go back to your client and say, hey, bam, bam, bam. Just have your research ready. Okay. So with this one right here, it goes along all of the other things that we're going to talk about. It is the buyer's agent responsibility to coordinate closing times and the location. Now, me as a mentor, what I teach my team is I want the sellers to close first. That's just an old thing that I learned years ago. Because if the seller closes first, They used to bring the keys to the title company. Then once my buyer closes and the file funds, you can get the keys from the title company. However, a lot of the title companies have changed now. 85% or more of them don't want to be in the middle of keys. So what they would do is either give them to us as realtors and say, once the file is funded, you can give them out, or the seller's agent will say, okay, I left them in the box at the house. Once the file is funded, I need for you to coordinate getting those keys to your buyer. But as a buyer's agent, that is your responsibility to coordinate that function. The next one is to make sure all documentations are fully signed. Even before you get to that title company at the closing table, usually within 72 hours before, they will send out what's called a CD. It is the agent's responsibility to get your client to sign that and get it back over to the lender and the title company. The last closing we just had almost didn't happen because the agent failed to do that part of having the CD signed by their client. Verify the title company has everything that they need. Again, as buyer's agent, that is your responsibility to be in touch with that title company for your client. Remind buyers to schedule the utilities for the new home. If they're closing on that Tuesday, those utilities at that point should already be on. We've had a lot of where the realtors forgot to discuss with the clients to turn the utilities on. And once they gave the keys to the client and they go to move in, there are no utilities on because it was something in the middle of the excitement of buying a new home that they forgot to do something as simple as turn on my utility. So as a buyer agent and you want to stand apart from another realtor, have your nice little cheat sheet made up, give it to your client along with these things on here. Remember to turn on your utilities. They'll thank you for it later. Make sure all parties are notified of the closing time. Again, throughout the hustle and bustle and you are coordinating those closing, don't forget to tell your client what time the closing is. Because the realtors are sitting there and the clients are not there, or the clients are there and the realtors is not there. If your client is at a closing table and the realtor's not there, being late or whatever the reason, that looks very bad as a buying agent. Please be on time for closings, anything that has to do with your client. If your client wants you at inspection, please be there on time. Don't come an hour later when your client didn't have the whole option to walk around this house with the inspector by themselves without their realtor. Okay? Solve any title problems before closing. Again, you as the buying agent is going to work hand by hand, real close with the title company. If there's an issue, they're going to reach out to you. And you are responsible for relaying whatever that is to your client. Okay? Receive and review closing documents with your client. You need to be able to know how to go over closing disclosure with your clients. Again, if you struggle with doing any of that, get with your mentor or get with your broker, because now it's crunch time. And if you don't know how to explain the different closing costs and the acronyms that's on that paper, your client is going to really be looking at you crazy right now. But in order to be the strong real estate professional that you are, know how to read these documents. Where did I leave off at? Review closing figures with the buyer. Please know how to read the closing disclosure and be able to tell your client how much money, if any, they need to bring to the table. If you don't know how to read that, you're unable to tell them how much money they need for closing. They're going to look to you because you're their realtor, you're their professional real estate agent. They should be able to get that amount from you versus having to make a separate phone call to the title company that's going to say, I already gave that information to your realtor. So as a professional realtor, again, take the initiative to know how to read that and say, hey, Miss Jackie, I've already received your closing statement. You have a copy. Hey, let's take the time to go over it together. Look at line 18. That's the amount I need for you to have for your cashier's check to bring the closing. It just makes you look good again, makes you look very smart. You knew those things and they didn't. Verify that all repairs have been made by the sellers. That is a buyer's agent responsibility. If an inspection came back with various things During the walkthrough or even before the walkthrough, especially before closing, you either will have to walk out there and verify that the work is done. You could even ask for receipts that the work is done. But again, verify during that walkthrough. Well, they said they fixed that hole in the wall. They gave me a receipt for it, but that hole is still in the wall. Those things right there can delay your closing, postpone your closing, or bust your closing. So as a buyer's agent, you need to be prepared to know how to deal with all of those. Perform the final walkthrough with your buyers. Most people don't think that's a thing. That's really a thing. And there's also a form on Dotloop that we use for the final walkthrough for our clients. It talks about the date, the time, what all they found. So if your clients go there and the house is fully trashed and it wasn't like that before, that can delay the closing or it can postpone the closing. Because you turn that into the title company, you call that seller's agent and say, hey, this house is full of trash. The sellers need to clean that out before we proceed with closing on this file. As a professional, you have to learn your mouthpiece. You have to get a little bold. You have to find that confidence, and you have to speak up for your client because they're relying on you in this transaction to do that for them. Resolve any last minute issues. Again, similar to what we're talking about now. The last house I sold, believe it or not, the sellers was as petty enough to take the doorbell. Well, you're not supposed to take the doorbell off a house. It's considered part of a fixture. But because it was minute to my clients at the walkthrough, he's like, let it go. But anybody else would be like, no, I want a doorbell on my house. So a closing could be something is that simple to stop it from going through on a walkthrough. Get your CDA signed by the brokerage. If you don't know what the CDA is, that's your commission disbursement sheet. You've worked very hard, so now it's time for you to get paid. So before the title company will issue any commissions, you have to have an approved CDA on file. Your broker would have to have that signed and sent over to the title company prior to your closing in order for you to get your commission check. Provide home warranty paperwork. If you have put in your contract as the buyer's agent that you want the seller to buy your client a home warranty on a resale home, the title company is going to ask you days ahead, what warranty company your client want to use. Well, at the closing table, they will have that document for you, and they're going to give it to you as the buying agent for you to give to your buyer and to explain what warranty service they have purchased. Even though it's laid out ABC on the paperwork, but it's our buyer's agent responsibility to do that. Give keys and accessory to the buyers. We talked about that earlier. Most of the time it's after funding. The funding is the last and final step to you closing on a home. A lot of people think it's once you get to that closing table. It's not. It's once the title company call and tell you it's funded. That's when you can give the keys, and that's when your client can go and take possession of that home. They can't do it prior. And the last thing is, as buyer's agents, once it's closed and funded, you get to close out your own file from your brokerage. I keep electronic files. I keep them in Dotloop. They're good for 7 years in Dotloop. If you're not accustomed to electronic system, again, get with your mentor, get with your broker, but everybody right now should have some file on your client. Even if you're keeping your own paper file, please keep it for 7 years. Even if you leave Brooks and Davis, keep it for 7 years, because somebody can come back on a situation during that time and you have to produce the paperwork. You will have your own paperwork. For me, I can just go back into Dotloop because I have my own default profile and pull up my electronic file for anything that a broker may need on one of my files. And the last thing I want to show you guys, and if you want a copy of this, I will get it to you as well. This is an object that I ran across that's very straight to what we do today. As sellers agents, it tells you 90 things you need to do minimally. As a buyer's agent, it tells you 90 things you need to do minimally. And they all come at different times. And I know it's really little. If I blow it up, then I'm going to miss it all. But it tells you different steps of your professional where you need to go, how you need to do it. I share this with my agents as well, just as a guideline for if I miss something, then I'm gonna blow it back up for you, Shantae. But it tells you different steps during the home search project, what you need to do. Doing the pre-home search, what you need to do. Doing the post-contract, all the stuff you need to do. And if you was to just make you different checklists from things like this, or get the checklist from your mentor, you won't drop the ball doing any segment of your transaction. Okay, so let's see.
Can we get a copy of that checklist?
Of course. So as goals, the buyer agent wants to help their clients buy the best home for the best deal. As a buyer's agent, here are the people that you will most deal with, and then some. The seller's agent for sure, the inspector, the title company, and the lender. These are the 4 other professionals that you would do a lot of work with doing your buyer's transaction. Okay, so again, here's the typical buyer agent responsibilities, all in a summary for you. You help buyers locate good sources for mortgage loans, and you assist them in getting pre-approved if they are not already pre-approved. You map active, under contract, and recently sold properties that meet the buyer's criteria to give them an understanding of the market. The idea is to show buyers in the neighborhood these properties are located and how fast they sell so that they're not caught off guard when they make an offer. So what system is used for us mostly when we go to pull or present those homes to our clients? What system do we as licensed agents use?
The MLS?
MLS? That can be. What's the
HAR.
other system that we're in contract with through HAR, where you can go look for homes for your clients? And JT, we use them as leads. What are they?
HAR, Zillow.
Zillow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Appointments to tour homes, and you meet buyers at these appointed times. You advise buyers on the resale potential of the home. You help buyers analyze the price and value of a home before making an offer. You explain the standard offer form and provide advice on whether they should ask for further contingencies. That is your responsibility. You recommend trusted home inspectors and suggest additional inspections if they are necessary. For example, and this is something I really, really need the buyer's agent to listen to. Additional tests recommended by an inspection report. If it says that you need radon, lead test, molding, or a video scope of a sewer, are we all professionals in that area?
No.
No.
But it's our responsibility. If the client want to get all of these additional tests, we should at least be able to refer someone to them. So keep your Rolodex up to date on all of this stuff. And if you don't know somebody to test for radon, start with your team. Start with your own brokerage. 9 times out of 10, somebody has had a radon test done, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just ask your brokerage, and they should have all the answers for you. Attend inspection and appraisal tour and assist interpreting results and negotiating inspection issues. Assist in reading necessary documents like the HOA agreement, the title commitments, etc. As a brokerage, we offer trainings on all those things to teach real estate agents how to be able to read those documents. Assist in coordinated communication between the lender, the title officer, the seller, and buyer so that there are no surprises at the closing table. If you are one of those professional real estate agents that's on top of it, there should be no surprises, period, throughout your whole transaction, unless something comes back on the appraisal or the inspection. Other than that, you should be on top of all the paperwork as a realtor. Monitor loan commitments and ensure the buyer doesn't do anything like make a large purchase right before closing that could endanger their funding. I have what's called the 10 Commandments. When purchasing a home, I tell my clients don't buy anything, not even a peppermint, if it can throw off your DTI. Do everybody online know what DTI means?
Debt to income?
Debt to income. If a peppermint can throw off their debt to income, please don't buy that. Don't do any major purchases. I had a client that went about $5,000 worth of furniture. Well, guess what? Now you have new furniture, but you don't have a home to put it in. So you have to be able to have those type of conversations with your client. Assist with closing process by making sure the buyer has correct documents and understand what they say. Ensure the correct signatures are in the right place. Very important. So as an agent representing a new build, you have no paperwork, so to speak. However, make sure that you be there for the client, the showing, the inspections, the walkthrough, and any other questions that that client may have. Show them that you're earning that commission. Right now, one of the biggest things with these builders is that the realtors are just putting their name on the paperwork. They're not even coming to closing. They're just actually getting a commission check. Okay, with this new buyer representation and everything that's going on, show them your needs. Show them how they would really want a real estate professional to be by their side, to explain the process to them, to explain the paperwork to them. Make yourself useful. For somebody that's spending that type of money and paying you that type of commission, let them know they need you. They're stuck in the water without you. You are their mouthpiece. You are their professional that can guide them through this entire process. And last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is this CMA. What exactly is a CMA? People, realtors, professionals, what is the CMA?
A comparative marketing analysis.
Okay. I'm a buyer. I don't really know what that means. So what layman terms are we going to use to explain that to our buyer that I'm presenting you with the CMA?
It's a comparison between the houses that have already sold, maybe what's active on the market now, or even some of what's pending, to give them an idea of value of what the house they're looking at may be worth.
A+. Any questions to what Margaret just said? Because that is perfect. That answer was perfect. So it's a summary role. As you can see, the buyers and the sellers have different roles by similar goals. They both want the best deal for their client. They want the sale to close. Otherwise, nobody gets paid. And they both want their clients to feel good about their experience. So they will refer others to them. That's our ultimate goal, word of mouth. That's the best referral source there is. And especially when you're a professional real estate agent. So with that being said, do we have any questions? I am going to share with you 4 templates I think I have to make your own buyer's guide. However, you can get them off Etsy. You can Google Etsy. You can make your own through, what did I make that through? Canva, or you can order it. So you have a different things for your own buyer guide, but make it yours. Make it to where you can easily explain it, and you can read it easy to your clients if they have any questions about it. And I'm going to also share with you the 90 minimal things that you must do as a buyer's professional agent. And 90 is minimal. So right now we have the floor open for all questions, suggestions, or comments. I can't believe I did so great that don't nobody have any questions.
No, I have a question. It's Shantae. Hey, Miss Jackie. So I'm gonna take it back to where you said, where can you find the option period and how much money? Like I was looking just on a random property in the MLS. So where exactly do you see that at?
It's usually under agent remarks.
Agent remarks. Okay.
So I'm gonna send you several examples when we get off the phone. I mean, when we get off the Zoom to show you how to read it and what they look like, because I have several of them.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you. And
Right.
it'll have how much money?
It does. It says option period, minimal 7 days, $35 a day. Or option period,
okay.
yeah, max 10 days,
I've seen
$40
that.
a day.
Okay, I just
That's
didn't know
what
what
that
that
means.
meant. I've seen
Now,
that. Okay.
as real estate professionals, we have to do the calculations.
Right.
So if they say a minimum of 7 days and it's $50 a day, then that's $350. You have to do the math to put it in that column on that 1 to 4.
Okay.
Okay. Next,
Yes, ma'am.
anybody
Thank
else?
you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Well, Shay, are you there?
Miss Jackie?
Yes.
Okay, so could you explain the earnest money and option period money again? Because did you mention that the both would be credited back to the buyer at closing?
They are. Have you
Okay.
seen the close? Have you seen a closing statement and see how it reads? That's why I say it's very important for us to know
So
how
the
they read.
buyer, I mean the seller would get the money in the event that the buyer decides they don't want to move forward with the transaction.
Okay, they get, if they decide that they don't want to move forward with the transaction, they will get the earnest money back. They will not get the option period back. Again, the option period is something simple as what I call insurance. It's ensuring that this amount of days that I paid you, I'm determining whether or not I'm going to purchase your property or not. Once my option period is up, then it's written, or it's an unwritten thing that I'm going to purchase that property because they already have the offer, so to speak.
And so let's say we did $250 for 5 days. That $250 will be credited back to the buyer.
For which time? At the closing table, or
At
if they
closing.
decide they don't want to buy? At closing,
closing.
Everything, even their inspection fees are credited back to them at the table.
Okay.
Yep.
So to piggyback on that real quick, when you say credited back, is it going toward their future mortgage payments, or are they getting that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's a credit. On the closing statement, you have the left side is usually for the buyer's credit, and the right side is usually for the seller's credit, right? So the credits and the negatives kind of off balance each other. Whereas your buyer, you're gonna get a credit for mostly everything that you've done. If you paid your down payment, it's on the credit side. If you put your earnest money, it's on the credit side. You paid your appraisal and your inspection fee, you get a credit. It's just a credit on paper towards everything that you need to bring to closing. So if you start with 25 and you paid 20 in the middle, you need to bring the 5 on there. You just have to look at a closing statement and know how to read it. And I didn't put one in here. Maybe doing a financial training or something, or when I do the seller's net, I'll bring a closing statement to show you guys how to read it and to understand the credits.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? So Shay, are you there? Do you have any questions anywhere?
I'm here, just reviewing the chat. Yeah, they just want the buyer's packet that you showed.
Okay. I can do that.
All right.
And that last one too, Shay.
Oh yeah, and the 90 things.
Miss Jackie, that 90 steps or something like
Yep.
that. It was that.
Yep.
Yes.
That's really good to have. I was sitting there, and again, you guys could, get with your mentor, get with your broker, make it yours. But I mean, as long as you follow that, you won't miss a step. Okay. I'll get all those things to Shay, and she will get them emailed out to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much, Miss Jackie, for doing this.
Thank you.
Welcome, Miss Margaret.
So if there are no other questions, we're gonna go ahead and leave the Zoom.
You guys got 45 minutes to go eat and play.
Thank you, Miss
Thank you,
Jackie.
Miss
This was
Jackie.
awesome. I learned some stuff today.
Yes, thank you.
Good. All right, all of you guys be
Thanks,
blessed.
Ms. Jackie.
All righty.
Okay.
Bye,
Have
Mr.
a good
Dayton.
night.
You too.
Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miss Shay.
Bye-bye.